JC, welcome to the SAINTCON Hallway Talks. How's it going?
It's amazing this year.
So SAINTCON 2022, you run the vault.
Run the vault.
And what have you upgraded, done, sadistically spent a ton of time and effort on?
Everything.
Start to finish.
Start all over.
Better
right?
volunteer, screw the old ones, we got new ones.
No, that we didn't do. We just added to, right? You need more people. I guess the big thing was we did away with everything, right? We started net new, ground up. We took all the lessons learned. I had a lot of time to reflect from last year where I had COVID. We actually redesigned everything last year and didn't get a chance to bring it out. We only brought out the safes, which are a huge hit, right? Teaching people safe cracking, that's a useful skill in anybody's repertoire.
I've seen that seems pretty stacked. There's a ton of people doing it.
It is. It might be something we have to expand next year.
I opened up the instructions. It was like 8 pages or something, and I was like, oh, dang, I don't know if I can do that.
8 pages. It's not hard. Once you get the theory, we've had people sit down for, I think, 20 minutes, and they open it, and we've had, every day we step up all of our challenges, and people have been successful. So we've got our medium level, which is all 3 wheels versus our only 2 wheels, so 2 out of the 3 numbers you have to get. So we've had somebody sit down for 2 hours, invest the time, and open up pretty much a full safe.
So somebody went from nothing knowledge to opening safes?
Exactly.
That's amazing.
With those 8 pages of that document, yeah.
So it's not as scary as it seems. You just got to sit down and start doing it.
This was her information security conference.
Wow.
Right?
Now she's a safe cracker.
That's how it starts.
That's amazing.
That's the bug.
Well, speaking of which, what is JC's InfoSec origin story? At some point in your life, you're not
spider bite.
You're not. Okay, so what's a spider bite? Yeah. At one point in your life, you're not InfoSecing, and suddenly you are. And there might be, it's not necessarily like a drop in its iterations, but what is that? What got you going? And I want to do this.
I probably have the most boring origin story. Right? It's pretty classic. Out of high school, did IT. Actually, almost didn't graduate high school because I had a side job doing IT. So I started my career of exploits that way, right? Learning how little school I could go to go work a job. And then coincidentally enough, the next job I got was at a school district. So doing IT for them. It was a traditional PC help desk.
So from the attacker
90s.
to the defender real quick?
No, it was just a punk high schooler, figuring out how to game the system. So the story is my high school, right? As long as you showed up for one period, all of your other periods that you missed their system would just flag them as tardies, right? And so, for lunch, I take my lunch break, sit in a history class, about 30 minutes, then I get up and leave, make sure attendance was taken, and that was it. I got expelled twice my senior year. I followed some appeal process, got let back in, graduated with a 1.9 GPA with honors because of state testing. So I was good at testing. High school was boring. So I jumped into IT because computers were fun, and then made some bad life choices, went into the military, straightened out, and then with a government clearance, the IT experience, I parlayed that into a job down in San Diego doing classified network support, system administration. The job was called an ISSO, an Information System Security Officer. Now we're in the 2009, 10, 11. As a defense contractor, we're getting hit by China. So this is before APT-1. We just called it China.
APT-0.
Yeah. So China's at the door, right? So now I'm learning system admin stuff, but I'm also kind of getting into this whole incident response, IR stuff. And so the company sends me to a SANS class. I get hooked, think it's so cool. I actually get burned out on APT stuff because it's the same thing over and over. And
it's persistent.
It's persistent, that's for sure. And, I want to do something fun. Credit card breaches. So I move over to a consulting company, start doing PCI investigations, realize that's super boring. And then I move from one shop to another. I leave BAE Systems and decide to move over to the company Stephanie, my wife, Snow, started. And I ran that. I've been running that since 2016 as she's moved on to cooler things, and so now I just run my own show doing pen test work, incident response work, malware analysis. I've got a small crew, and with that gives me the freedom to do shenanigans like the vault.
Like putting in
that's the origin story.
Super expensive safe that all the lockpicker people know are very excited about, but I don't even know what it means and the name. And
that's the beauty of it, right? And that was the thing too. I struggled with it because it's a balance, right? Do you build a challenge with manufactured vulnerabilities that everybody can do, or do you put out what's on the shelf and let them find the vulnerabilities?
Right.
So the first year, right, I went the first route of finding all the vulnerabilities. So the vault was very boring, right? Everybody essentially was able to complete it. That's where I learned Kevin, or Lean as we know him, right? He taught me retroactively that he always throws something in that he doesn't know how to defeat.
Just because somebody will figure it out.
Well, I didn't know that, so he totally skipped that step when he handed it off. But I picked up the second year of the vault and realized, maybe I should try that. Maybe I should throw something in there. So this was the year that I decided to build my own Indiana Jones pressure sensor rig. So we had an Arduino. We had this sheep Buddha idol in memory of Kevin.
Right.
And it had a very specific weight. So if you lifted it off, the alarms would go off. If you put too much weight on it, the alarms would go off. And when I programmed it, I programmed it not to be defeatable at all. So when I wrote it, because it was Arduino and I'm not going to put too much time in it, I had to put the tolerance to 1 second. So it'd sample every second. If not, if it was too fast, it would have too much variance, and when it stabilized, the alarm would go off. Too long, and I felt like that was too much of a give me. So 1 second. The Professor Plum team, if I remember right, with a bag of chickpeas and full Indiana Jones wardrobe.
They have the hat?
He had the hat. He had the whip.
The whip.
He had the leather jacket. And he's standing there like Indy, and he swaps it. Alarm doesn't go off. Pisses me off. I go in. I think they cheated. I pick up this bag of chickpeas. Alarm goes off. Completely fair.
Under a second.
And after that, I've realized, you know what? No more manufactured vulnerabilities. I've got a couple things just because that's how commercial doors are set up. Right? But we went government skiff level XO9.
XO9, that's what it was.
You don't remember? Yep. And there are people drooling like, no way. I had a couple people come up and be like, you can't have that, can you? They sold it to me, so I guess I can. It's there on the door.
I gave them money, and they gave me a product.
So, every year I'm learning something. I'm learning more about the attendees and the role that we play, right? And it's, don't underestimate and, give people fun stuff to hack on. So I think we did it this year.
Awesome.
We already have more stuff to bring next year that we couldn't fit on the truck. This thing has become such a logistical hurdle,
right?
That it's we have to figure out something new. It's way too much weight.
Awesome. What is your favorite exploit? Past, present.
My favorite exploit.
If I reach into a JC bag of tricks, this is your go-to. Not like a fish, but like something that maybe got you really excited when you read it, or maybe you use today.
Probably I wouldn't call it an exploit, right? Well, I guess if you go with the traditional definition, I guess it's an exploit. In the true sense, where it's not expected to occur. And that would be probably one of the first times that I picked up malware, reverse engineering. I've been learning it a bit, right? And it was years ago, and we were picking up the Quackbot, right? Big malware, keylogger and things like that. And it had a really crappy way of encoding the FTP password. And so it was pretty easy to reverse, pull out. And then I realized, well, I can connect to the server, put in the credentials, and get all of their victims' data. And that was probably the one where you really kind of sat there and asked yourself, whose side are you on? Because they did all the crime, right? And I have all the access to it. So what do you do?
Right.
Do you sit there and ignore it? do you take it and try and identify who it is and inform them? You know, do you delete it all?
Right.
Right. I had full write access. Right. What do you do?
Right.
And that was the one exploit where I guess, you know, it made me really question, you know, who I was ethically and morally.
And say what the lawyer says you should do.
No, not even, right? Like before we even got to that part, like what am I comfortable with?
Right.
And we teach that in our classes, right? Like there's a hierarchy. There's obviously the contract and all of that stuff. That's, you know, first. And then there's what the law says you can do. But then at the end of the day, it's what's okay with you.
Right, right.
Because even if the law says it's good, if it's not okay with you, and I played that game, you know, if it's not okay with you, you're not going to sleep right.
Right.
And I'm done with those nights.
Right. Right.
I'd say that's my favorite.
What is, just trying to go in generation genre here, what is your favorite Nintendo game?
Calling me old?
Yeah?
Generational genre. Okay. Favorite Nintendo, which one? Are we talking classic NES?
Depends, because everybody has like a different wave of what they rode in their age range. Was that NES, SNES, 64? What
You
is
know,
like the go-to?
I did all of them, right? So I can give you
What's your favorite N64 game?
N64 game would have been the Zelda game, right?
Yeah.
That was just one that I sat down and...
Were you a collect all the hearts kind of person or complete the mission kind of person?
I was try and figure out the mission, right? That was the hard part. I was too cheap for those strategy guides
The
that one of my
walkthroughs?
friends had. Yeah, so it was racking my head. I would talk with friends in school and be like, "Hey, man, how do you do this?" And you know, two kids, they can't articulate the complexities of that. So I felt like they gave me advice. You know, you go through the like 4 periods of
Right.
middle school, and then you give that stuff a shot, and it's like, what? This isn't right. I didn't remember, or you didn't articulate. So, absolutely frustrating. But it was a fun game.
It was very
before
fun game.
online and
Yep.
toxicity. It was just you yourself in a puzzle.
Right. If you are riding into the sunset, you're done with InfoSec, you have the money, what do you do?
Oh, here we go. You sponsoring me? I'm ready to go right now.
What do you do?
You know, it's actually Stephanie and I's thought process is opening a restaurant. Ideally working in a restaurant, but we're both food people.
I got some more questions. What type of restaurant?
Hang on.
Okay.
Because I think it is because no matter what, your recipe doesn't crash. Your cookware and toaster doesn't need a firmware update.
Yeah.
Right? It just works, right?
Yeah.
So I think cooking is just for her. It's the actual cooking. I don't know what you call it. I guess just cooking. Myself, it's baking. Absolutely love baking. The problem is, like anything, if you start getting paid for it, it starts taking the fun out of it. So as long as bills are paid some other way, I'm retired. That's my sunset.
Family recipes of things you do? Or you're going to hire a chef to infuse your menu? What's the plan?
We definitely be the seed, right? We have our ideas. We definitely like finer dining, which is harder to do in Salt Lake. We found a couple places, but you know, for us, it's not so much the quantity, right? We don't want big portions. We want, you know, execution. We want something that has, you know, personality, style, flavor, without being overbearing. So we would probably have a working relationship with a chef.
Yeah, for sure.
However, that being said, we are both looking at going off the culinary school in our
That'd be cool.
In our like evening hours in the next year or two. We've already gone through the application process to see it and look at schools and evaluate. So we've got a whole pastry program that I'm looking into. She's looking in whatever the culinary approach is, and I think that would be a fun way to take our current cooking level up a notch.
Right. Any genre of food?
You know, that's where it gets fun, right? Where are we going to execute? So I'm a fan of food trucks. It's obviously not the right vehicle for this.
Fine dining food truck?
No, it'll never work. But I've got a bunch of ideas, right? The best one, I think, is a breakfast food truck. Now, I don't know if I should say this.
Maybe, I don't know.
You know what? It's going to be years before I get to this point. So let's see if I inspire this.
Speak it into existence.
What do you think about, let me interview you for a second. What are your thoughts on Brenner?
I love Brenner. A, the name, but B, breakfast is always good.
Exactly. So you show me where the Brenner food trucks are.
Fine dining Brenner?
You don't even need that. Food trucks are about fast and filling.
But this conflicts with your fine dining.
I know.
Oh, okay.
I know. I'm not going to work in the damn truck.
So food truck, you go up to, you can get waffles, pancakes, eggs,
Brenner.
standard.
Brenner, you don't
standard
see
Brenner?
it. You don't see it, and we can tweak it. We can have fun with it, and that would funnel the startup of a nice restaurant where we can actually have fun.
I'd eat some Brenner out of a food truck.
A nice tasting menu style restaurant.
Perfect. What's the one thing that you want to do before SAINTCON ends this year?
Before we get into that, have you ever seen a Brenner style or breakfast for dinner style food truck?
No.
Let the record show, neither have I. And therefore, if you see one before I make one,
I'll let you know.
it's this.
We spoke it into existence.
I did it. We seeded the idea.
If somebody on the internet finds this and they find something before that maybe implanted you, let us know.
It won't happen. This
won't.
is
Doesn't
original
exist.
OG, $1 million ideas.
Love
all
it.
day. So what was the question?
Is there one thing that you want to do before SAINTCON ends? Is there a certain talk? Is there a certain...
Frankly, I just want to sit down. This is the most relaxed I've been in 2 days.
Not setting up the vault? How's your voice this year? You're not yelling at people this year.
That's another thing. It's conflicting. The teams are definitely not pressured. There's not as much of a competitive nature. So I see teams collaborating. It's completely different. But for that reason, it's also been relaxing. This has been like butter.
Awesome.
It's amazing. What do I want to do, or what do I want to see?
I think you said it. You want to relax. You want to chill.
Oh, no, it's done. I'm doing it right now. I'm
So,
getting that in.
I hope you get your wish, and I hope you have more time to relax and nothing stressful comes up with the vault. I appreciate you spending time with us in the SAINTCON Hallway.
Thank you.
Thanks,
It's
JC.
been a pleasure.
All right, bye.
Bye.